Using drills, interesting and unique classes. Yeah, drills are something, I don't know, I love doing them and I don't see enough coaches do it. So I hope that you get some use out of this one and you can start implementing it into your classes. So let's get straight into it. We've got using drill. In this session, we're going to go through why do we want to use drills? What is a drill and how do we use drills effectively? And then I'm going to give you some homework to do associated with it. Okay, so why do we use drills? Drills make your classes more interesting and varied, right? So without them, you're generally just coaching the same thing over and over. You're coaching the same progressions, and things don't really get very interesting, okay? Keep your athletes engaged. If you're doing drills and you're doing different types of drills all the time, well, then your athletes are always going to be like, ooh, what's coming next? Increase performance and increase understanding of the movement, positions, intensity, and stimulus. So if you're using a drill, it's generally going to help your athletes understand the movement a little bit better. Okay, so hopefully as we get into a little bit more understanding of what drills are and how we can use them, then you'll understand why these things are important and how we can get these things from using drills. You can do a lot of drills in pairs, so they bring the group closer and make everything more fun. It's very rare that I do a drill and not have it done in pairs or groups. So it just brings everybody together and increases that class experience, increases that class engagement, increases the relationships in the room, and then increases good general vibes. All right. If a drill works, you can use it again, but I generally only ever use a drill once. And no matter how good it is, I never use it again, which is such a shame because you could spend 45 minutes to an hour thinking of a drill, practicing it, making sure it works, then use it, and then it goes so well and everybody nails it and everyone understands it and people like have aha moments and things click for people, but then you never ever use it again. But the reason you don't use it again because then your classes aren't varied and then it's not interesting, it's not engaging. It's like, cool, this drill worked the first time you did it, now you've used it 6 times since, I'm bored, stop doing this. So that's why drills, they're one-time use. For me, they're one-time use. The only time that I would consider repeating a drill is if I'm coaching at a new gym or I'm coaching a class of brand new athletes that I've never seen before or never used it with before. If I've got a class full of people, let's say there's 15 people in the class and 1 or 2 people have done the drill before, I might reuse it again because the chances are they don't remember it or it's been a while since they've done it. So it might be a nice little refreshment for them couple of people, but then everybody else is new. All right, so unfortunately, drills are one-time use, and that's what makes them exciting as a coach because it forces your creativity. It forces you to start thinking about where can I be different? Where can I add something new? How can I think about this in a different way? So I'm going to start getting into a little bit more, and hopefully it's a little bit clearer for you. Okay, what are drills? Drills are essentially exercises that are created to help athletes feel or find better positions in movements or workouts. Drills help them feel a specific performance point, a point of performance, the stimulus, or intensity. So I know that's a lot of words and it's just like, what are you talking about? It's with drills, it's like you have an idea in your head and you have an idea in your head thinking you know what drills are, but then the drills that I'm speaking of, you may have never used or never seen before. So it's very difficult for me to explain it without showing you a drill and talking you through an example. So I'm trying to tell you here what drills are. They're essentially exercises that are created to help athletes feel or find better positions in movements or workouts. They help you feel specific performance points of performance. Generally, I like to think of drills as, what can I get my athletes to do to help them feel the movement, position, stimulus without doing the movement or position? So if I'm thinking of hip extension in the clean, I want people to get hip extension in the clean today because they've been missed. Med ball clean, for example. Nobody does hip extension in med ball clean. I want to do hip extension in the med ball clean. How can I get them to do hip extension in med ball clean without just saying, find hip extension? Because that's just telling them what to do. But how do you help them find it? And drills can help you find it. And you could easily just get them lying on the floor and get them doing some hip thrusts or glute bridges. You could get them onto a rig with a band around their waist, get them into a hip hinge and drive their hips forward. They're all little drills. And they're small little ways to help them with their performance. And they be more assistants to performance points, in my opinion. Whereas with drills, the way I like to think of them is that they can be elaborate pieces that can take 10 to 15 minutes. And that your whole class is kind of built around them because your whole class is built around one concept. So if we're thinking about main focus points back from the way beginning of the course, and we talked about labels and grouping 3 points of performance together on a main focus point or anything like that, this can be the same thing. It's like, well, my main focus point is hip extension. How do I get them to find the hip extension? These are the mechanical pieces that I want. I want the knee straight, the hip straight, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the quads. Like, that's the basic stuff. But how do I get them to feel that? Use a drill. Now, other drills can be quick and they can take 2 to 3 minutes of the class. So you can do it really quick if you haven't got time, or you can build it out and make it this bigger thing and make it a bigger focus point. So here are some examples. So banded pull downs for lat engagement in a pull-up. Dead stops for heavy days. So dead stops. I don't have a video of 3 of these, but I don't have one of the dead stop. But the dead stop is something that I use. I use it a lot in different formats. So I'd use it for deadlifts. I'd use it for squats. I would use it for, that's pretty much it actually, to be honest, deadlifts and squats. And it's just to give people the feeling of what it is like to lift a heavy load. Because do you know when you're coaching a class and your athletes don't lift heavy? And you're like, no, today's a heavy day, you gotta lift heavy. And you're like, oh, that is heavy. And you're like, let's say it's a back squat. And you watch them do a back squat and they've got like 50 kilo on the bar and they stand it up like it's an air squat. And you say, it's supposed to be heavy, add some more weight. And they're like, no, it is really, really heavy. And like, no, it's not. It's not heavy. You haven't hit that stimulus at all. It might like feel heavy, but it's not heavy. So I need to teach you how to feel heavy. What does heavy feel like? So heavy feels like trying to move an immovable object. So if you think about that, trying to move an immovable object. So if you try and push with all your might against a brick wall and the brick wall doesn't go anywhere, that's you using all your force and strength to move it. And that kind of replicates heavy, right? So if you get the dead stop, I've done this recently for a deadlift. And I think I might have mentioned this on a previous, how you feel, a previous module. But basically, if you go over to the rig and you put your J hooks on the lowest 2 hooks on the rig, you roll a barbell with 2 10s or 2 5s underneath it. Therefore, the barbell is driving up against the J hooks. You coach the whole deadlift position. You coach the strong midline. You coach the lats, the shoulder engagement. You coach the hip and knee position. Everything looks perfect. And you say, okay, let's go over here and let's try and find the stimulus for the workout today, which is heavy. So we're going to do some dead stops. That means I'm going to get you set up at the bottom and you're going to drive up into the J hooks. I want you to drive your feet into the floor as hard as you can. When you're driving your feet as hard as you can to the floor, I want you to keep your lats engaged, midline strong, so your back doesn't change shape. Drive as hard as possible, and you're going to drive for 5 seconds. Driving into that bar for 5 seconds is going to get them to feel how all their muscles have to work under heavy load. Okay? So then when they start building the barbell, that's the feeling they're trying to replicate. And then all of a sudden, like, okay, now I know what it feels like to lift heavy. I also know what it's like to hold them positions under that load. And that's a drill that you can use to help your athletes feel the stimulus. Okay. Lacrosse ball transitions, that's for a snatch. I have a video of that coming next. And granny shot on the kettlebell swing. So the granny shot is for driving your hip extension in the kettlebell swing because people tend to use their arms too much. So I was like, all right, I want you to use your arms less, hips more. Okay. So let's have a look at these examples. Christy, how are you finding them pull-ups? Yeah, they're okay. Still pretty difficult. I think I can help if you want. Yeah, please, coach. That'd be great. After your hollow, you should push down on the bar. It will make your pull less vertical and more horizontal. Try this. Grab the band, step away from the pull-up bar, and with straight arms, push the band down. Feel the shoulders and the lats working. Then jump on the pull-up bar and see if you can replicate the same feeling. Then go back to the band and do the same thing again, but then when you go back to the pull-up bar, add in the kip and see if you can get your head a little bit higher with the push. After that push down, then add the pull. That felt so much better, thanks. I'm going to follow you for more coaching tips like that. So with that example, right, I'm going to show you how to use what framework to use and how to build out the class, right? But with that example, like, you could do that in 2 minutes. But doing it in 2 minutes would be less effective than you spending 10 to 15 minutes doing that drill. Okay, and this is the big thing with drills. I know I said you can do it in 2 to 3 minutes, but it's going to be less effective than it is than if you build that out and you make that your main focus point. It's like, okay, now this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to use the lats effective. You're trying to push down on the bar at the back of the hollow in order to gain some height before we pull. All right, so then you can start linking in timing as much as you can there, right? But the more time you spend on it, the more focus there is on it, and the more it's going to hit home, and the more effective it's going to be. All right, so try not to use drills and then rush through them. There is days where you're going to have to, but then other days it's like you could use this as a warm-up. After you've done this as a main drill in the class for 10 to 15 minutes, you can use it in a warm-up in later classes and say, okay, remember the thing we did a few weeks ago? We're going to use that same warm-up now. We're going to use the band to pull down and feel the lat activation. So now you've used it in a class, you've emphasized it, you've explained it, people understand it, they've practiced it, they're like, oh, this really works, now I can use it as a warm-up drill. All right, and that's just different ways that we can do these things. All right, so, oh yeah, I'm going to use this example to show you how to build out your framework. How do we use the drills? So drill framework. A reason why it's important that they should do it, you need to get buy-in. That's the first thing, right? So there's no point in doing a drill if it doesn't mean anything. You need to figure out why is it important that we're going to do this drill, and why is it important that you pay attention and get the most out of this drill, okay? Define what it is you want them to achieve. What is the position? So then you got to tell them, okay, well, we're doing it because of this reason, and this is what we're looking for. Then you got to give them the feeling of it. So it's like, this is what we're looking for, now I want you to go and feel it. Then you're going to define the full drill, all right? So you can define the drill in pieces, or you can define it from start to finish. I like to do it in pieces because it's easier to remember, and then you can stay in control of the class. So you can give them the first piece. I'll explain it in a minute. You can give them the first piece and then let everybody do a bit of work. Cool, all right, now I'm going to give you the second piece, but it's all in one big drill, all right? Then you're going to give them some time to practice at the end, and then you're going to let them self-assess, correct, and improve based off what you've already asked for. All right, so if you don't ask them for something specific, if you don't define what it is that you're trying to do, they cannot self-assess, they cannot correct and improve themselves. If you've got 20 people in a class doing this drill, you're not going to be able to watch every single individual. So you need to give them something that is pass or fail, or something that they can say, I'm not getting this right, I need to try again. I'm not getting this right, I can't get this right, I need coach's help. And that's what we're trying to do with the drill, okay? So let's link this framework to the example we just seen in the video. So the lat pull down drill. Why? Make your pull less vertical and more horizontal. It'll make it easier to do kipping pull-ups. Everybody wants to make their kipping pull-ups a little bit easier, right? So if I can get them to do this drill, it's going to help them. Define what it is you want them to achieve. What is the position? So what is the position? After the hollow, I want you to push down on the bar before you pull. So I don't want you to pull early. I want you to push down first, then pull when you're at that highest point. Okay, now I want you to feel it. So you get them a band around the top. You give them the instructions. Say, this is what I want you to do. You're going to put the band around the rig. Show the push down with the band. Emphasize the key points. And the key points are tension on the band, so it's not slack once you have it overhead. Then your arms are dead straight. You can't do it with a bent elbow, so arms straight. And then push from the shoulder and feel the lats engage. So make sure you push down, don't pull down. So push down, feel the shoulder, feel the lats. You say it like that. Get them to try it. Okay, cool. You all feel that. Deadly. All right, here's the drill. The drill is you're going to alternate with your partner. You're going to do 5 reps on the band, just like we did. Keep the tension, arms straight, press down to the shoulder, feel the lats. Once you've done 5 reps there, you're going to go to 3 to 5 reps on the pull-up bar. And if you go back to the video, you can see that I do just the reps, no kip swing, right? Once they've done that, you can say, all right, once you do that, you and your partner do 1 or 2 sets each. Perfect. Okay, cool. Next, we're going to move on to the next piece. The next piece, you're going to do the same thing. 5 reps on the band, getting used to that feeling, but now you're going to add in the kip. Go to your bar and do 3 to 5 kips after it. Still doing the same thing. Then you're going to go layer 3. You're going to say 5 reps on the band again. This time I want you to add a pull-up. Beautiful. They've done that. Now, your practice here, I'm going to give you 2 to 3 minutes to practice. I want you to practice the timing. Wait until you hit your highest point of the push down before you pull. Everybody's highest point is going to be different, but I just want you to make sure you get the full use of your push before you pull. Once you do it, I want you to practice that in sets of whatever you want, 3 to 5 reps over 2 to 3 minute period. And if you feel like you're getting high enough, perfect. If you're not, try and self-assess, see if you can correct, improve. I'm going to go around and help you as you're going. And then that's your practice, and then you let them self-assess by allowing them the 2 minutes to practice the time to push and pull, allow them time to get it wrong and feel it out. This is your opportunity to help a little more with some personal feedback and coaching. So that's when you're walking around the room and you're helping everybody out. All right, so that's the full drill. All right, so I'm just going to jump back here. A reason why. Get them buy-in. Define what it is you want them to achieve, what it is they're trying to do. In this scenario, you're trying to get them to use their push before they pull. Get them to feel the drill. The feel the drill was the band thing, so just get to do a few reps each. Perfect. And now define the full drill. And then I remember when I explained this, when I went into 3 layers, right? You can do the full 3 if you want, but I feel and I've noticed that if you give the full thing, people don't really do it. They don't really care. They just spend time talking. Whereas you keep control a little bit more if you do it layer by layer, step by step. All right, so that's define the drill. Give them the practice then, and the practice is, all right, now you've done all that stuff. I want you to practice for 2 minutes. Can you get that full push down before you pull? You see, this is a full process here, and this is probably going to take about 15 minutes of your class to go through this from start to finish. But I guarantee you, when it comes to the workout, that's what you're coaching, that's what they're doing. And when they finish the class, you say, what you learned today? And it's like, I learned how to push down properly before I pull. All right, and then self-assess, correct, improve. All right, so that's how you use the drill. That's the framework. There it is in action, so you can see it. The video is back here, so you can watch it again. It's not exactly 100%, but it's because it's a shorter video, obviously, that I use for Instagram. But it gives you an idea of what we're trying to achieve. And then I've got 2 more examples here. One is the alternating dumbbell snatch drill, and the other is the granny shot drill. So let's watch these.
Here, Christy, why you change your hands on the floor? The only way I can do it. I get used to that one that's up here. Here, try this drill. Catch this ball. See the way you just caught that? That's how you want to catch your dumbbell. Try practice with the ball by dropping it from one hand into the other. Like this. Okay, now move the ball like a dumbbell snatch and keep dropping it like that. Snatch this. Yeah, I see how that works. Yeah, now you're ready to try it with the dumbbell. That's class, coach. I'm going to follow you for more drills like that.
All right, so with that drill specifically, you can build that out a little bit more. That's a nice, easy drill that you could do 2 to 3 minutes, right? But you can build that out to 5 or 6 minutes, incorporate a bit of partner work into it, and just have a little bit more crack with it. So basically, you get them to throw the ball to each other. So if you get a little lacrosse ball, that was a big ball, Supernova from Ability Wad. But if you go a little small lacrosse ball, tennis ball, whatever you have in the gym, I'm sure there's some sort of small balls, right? And you're saying, okay, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the ball to drop and catch from one hand to the other. So we're going to work with a partner, all right? And you could go ball in one hand, 2 hands. You ever see if you watch Drive to Survive on the Formula 1 series on Netflix, you've probably seen the Formula 1 racers do the reflex test where their hands are above and they go and catch. So you can do that one, right? It's not really relevant for reflexes here, but it just gets them in the position of, let's have a little bit of crack with my partner, all right? So that's the first one you could do, is like just literally one partner holds the ball up, the other partner is at the bottom, and they drop it to each other. And then you could go, all right, we've got 2 balls, one in each hand, and it's like, which one am I going to drop? And your hands are above. I drop, and you move down and catch, and it's trying to catch with the hand on it again. Then you can say, all right, let's go move away from each other. I'm going to throw the ball to you, and you've got to catch it underhand, not like this. So throw it and then let it come down and catch into the hand. And then you can get them on their own, doing the individual thing and then doing the snatch drill. So you can just build it out a little bit more, have a little bit more crack with it, and build it into the class to make it a little bit more interesting and exciting, right? And then they can start practicing with the ball into a lighter dumbbell, into a heavier dumbbell. And then they should be able to do the transition, all right? So obviously you're not going to use that with people who've been doing the same transition for years and they're well used to it. Like, it's a bit of crack at the start with the reflex drill, with the throwing to your partner. It's probably unnecessary for everybody, but it still makes it more interesting and engaging than teaching it. Like, okay, we're going to drop the dumbbell into one hand to the other, or whatever it might be, because people who can do it are just like, yeah, cool, whatever. Whereas if you make it a little bit more interesting with all this extra stuff with the ball, now it's more fun, all right? Let's just the granny shot.
Here, Christy, let's try this drill to help your kettlebell swings. Throw this ball against the wall with a granny shot. Good. Now you see the way there's not much power there.
My bad. I'm just going to come back here. So basically the idea here is you see the lack of hip drive here in the kettlebell swing. And this is something very common that we see a lot. You see the lack of hip drive?
Here,
it's
Christy,
all arms.
let's try this drill to help your kettlebell.
Lack of hip drive, all arms. It's an awful kettlebell swing.
Here, Christy, let's try this drill to help your kettlebell swings. Throw this ball against the wall with a granny shot. Good. Now you see the way there's not much power there. Yeah, it was pretty weak. Try move into your hips a little bit by letting the ball go between your legs before you throw. Yeah, brilliant. Now throw it really hard. You see the power you're getting from your hips now? That's what you've got to try and bring into the kettlebell swing. Okay, deadly. Let me try that. Okay, let's try it again with
There's
the
some
ball.
power.
And pay attention to where the ball is when you start moving into your hips. Yeah, it's nearly between my legs as I tip over. Exactly, that should be the timing for the way down with the kettlebell. You wait till the kettlebell nearly gets to your hips and then your torso tips. Okay, let me try that. Oh yeah, I feel it, coach. That's deadly. I'm gonna follow you for more useful drills like that.
Okay, so that was the big one, right? You notice that there was very, very small steps in the beginning because through experience, I just know if you skip steps, people just don't do it properly. So I like to break it down into really, really simple steps. So the first step here was to just throw the ball at the wall standing tall. Then it was lean into the hips a little bit, and that's what you did, but there was still no power. And then it was like, okay, this is the thing. I want you to find your power. Then the athlete finds the power, and then when they relate that back to the kettlebell, they're trying to find the same power in the kettlebell swing. And then you're going into the timing because you want to eliminate the hips back while the kettlebell is still too high. We want to make sure the kettlebell falls and just hits the hip. That's when the hips go back. So then you can link that back into the wall again. And there you've got 4 steps of throwing the ball against the wall in order to get a really good kettlebell swing. All right. So if I just jump back to the start of this lesson and I go back to why, to make a class more interesting and varied, right? So if you add them things into your class, they're already interesting and varied. To keep your athletes engaged a bit more, because like, what the hell are we doing? This is crazy. I'm throwing a ball against the wall. Like obviously do it with med balls in the gym, right? Don't use bouncy med balls that are going to fly back and hit them. You probably want to use like slam balls or the big heavy medicine balls that don't really bounce anywhere. Increase performance, and you're going to increase understanding of the movement. So if I was to do the lat pull down, the ball drop, or the granny shot, all of them are increasing performance, but also they're increasing the understanding of the movement, position, intensity, and stimulus. So people understand a little bit more what is expected of them, how to do the movement a little bit better. All right, you can do a lot of drills in pairs. So you see that I did the drills in pairs with the band, and I did the drill in pair with the ball drop, and you can also do the slam, the throw ball thing with pairs, but they won't really be working together, right? And then you can, as I said, you can use it as a warm down later on if you don't want to reuse the drill. So there's ways that we can make our class a little bit more interesting and then use that drill again in different ways rather than repeating the same drill in classes, because you don't want to do that ball drill twice. And you don't want to do that granny shot drill twice in classes because people know where it is. Like the granny shot drill, maybe because you're like, okay, a lot of people understood this, but they're still not really doing it well. Let's do it again. Like that might be a case. They didn't really understand the first time, but I know this drill works. Let's get them hammering at home. All right. Okay, homework. What stood out for you the most? So I want you to post the answer to this question in the comment section of the Facebook video. Then I want you to create a drill using the framework in this session. So create a drill for anything you want. So the other thing that I never really spoke about is how do you create a drill? How you create a drill is by you sitting down and thinking about it. Honestly, there's no other way than sitting there thinking about what is the thing that I want them to improve today. So if you notice that the 3 things I picked here are 3 things that I'm like, these are common faults, or these are 3 areas that people generally have issues with. People don't press down on it before they pull. People don't know how to change hands in dumbbell snatch, or people don't use their hip extension or time well enough in the kettlebell swing. So when you're coaching a movement and you go back and look at your debriefs, you can say to yourself, all right, well, what have I seen as a common fault or what have I corrected most recently? What am I seeing why people do a lot? All right, I got to think about a drill that's going to help them do that. And it's just getting creative. It's like standing in the middle of the gym thinking, what can I do? There was a question there. Here. Oh. Where is it? There. Generally, I like the third one now. Generally, I like to think of drills as what can I get my athletes to do to help them feel the movement position stimulus without doing the movement or position. So you notice in all 3 of them examples, the bands, they weren't doing pull-ups or kip swings. With the dropping of the ball, they weren't doing dumbbell snatches. And with the granny shot, they weren't swinging kettlebells. They do that movement and then do the movement alongside it. They do that movement and then do the movement after it. It's what can I get them to do? What can I replicate? What can I think about using in the gym that's going to help my athletes understand where their body should be, understand how they should move, understand the point of performance or the performance point. It's like, it's a really difficult thing to do, but it's something that will change your game. You don't need to think about drills every single day. There's a time and a place, but you will know once you've started using them and you start to understand, all right, well, I actually need some time for this one, or I start to see what people are doing wrong. You start to become a little bit creative around these things, and it all comes down to an understanding. In the constantly varied document that you've probably ran through, the hierarchy, understanding was there, right? And you had to understand before you can get creative. And this is the thing, it's like, you got to understand all these things. You got to understand where the problems are. You got to understand what the common faults are. You got to understand, okay, if that's the problem, how do I fix it? If that's the problem, how do I get around it? If they're not finding hip extension, how do I get them to find hip extension? And it's just really understanding that before you can get creative. If you don't understand it, you'll never get creative. Creativity is not something that you're born with. It's not like, oh, I'm just a naturally creative person, because I'm not a creative person in terms of going and drawing a picture or playing some music. Like, that's just not my creativity. My creativity comes from standing here thinking about how I can help people improve their movement, and that's what I'm good at. And it's something that is trained. It's not something that I've just been able to do. It's because I've practiced. It's trial and error. I've tried loads of different things and things haven't worked. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. With the drills, here's something that's not on this slideshow, on this presentation, is when you've used the drill and you say, here it is here, right? Why I'm doing the drill: to make your pull less vertical and more horizontal, easier to do kipping pull-ups. What is the drill? After the hollow, push down on the bar. When you're finished this drill, let's say you built a drill for yourself and this was it, right? After the class, you walk up to somebody in your class and say, how was that drill? Did it help you make your pull-up less vertical? Did it help you get your pull-up more horizontal? Did the drill, the band drill, help you get higher before you pulled? Was your timing better? Ask specific questions. Don't be like, how was that drill? Because they're just going to be like, yeah, it was great, yeah. Whereas if you say, did it help you get your head higher when you pushed down before you pulled? Did it help the timing of your pull-ups? Did you understand it a little bit? Did it make more sense to you? Like, ask for feedback. Ask your athletes for feedback. Use a new drill, ask them for feedback. Use a new drill, ask them for feedback. Like, you need to know if it works or not, because if you're using drills, and they're not landing, then there's something up, and we need to figure it out. All right? Okay. So I'm jumping all over the place here. Homework. Oh, what happened to the homework? Don't tell me how to delete it. Where's it gone? No. Oh, there it is. Whew. Oh, that was a panic. Okay. Alright, so what stood out for you the most? Post answers to the comment section of the Facebook video. Create a drill using that framework and then send it to me for feedback. So I want you to create something for anything and then just send it to me. Alright, follow that framework. I'll give you feedback on it. Once I've given you feedback on it, if we're both happy with the drill, then you're going to post the comment section of Facebook post. If you send me a drill and I'm like, not so sure, here, do this, change this, what about this? Then you're going to do it again. You're going to send it back to me. We could have back and forth a few times before I get you to post it on Facebook, all right? But the end result is that once you've created your drill and we're both happy, we're going to put it on Facebook. Once you've received feedback, you can then apply this drill or another one to a class. So if you build a drill for wall balls, I don't know, anything, cleans, squats, snatches, overhead squats, something, right? You've built the drill out. I then want you to use it, obviously, right? So after using the drill, I want you to post your thoughts in the comment section of the Facebook group. Did you deliver it well? So did you go out and deliver it well that people understood it? Was it well executed? Did it help your athletes? And did it change anything about your class? Not about their result, not about anything else. Because what this is, the drills are there to make your class more interesting, also to get better results for your athletes. So was it well executed and did it help your athletes is important. Also, did it change the feeling in your class? Like, did you notice that people were having a little bit more fun, people were a little bit more engaged, but people also progressed a lot more? All right. So I just want that feedback from you. So post all of that onto the Facebook. So the Facebook comment section for this video should be fairly stacked if we're all getting these things done, right? So try and get like 3 separate posts are probably going to be on this, right? Okay. All right. Thanks very much. And if you have any trouble give me a shout.